gentlemen, I am extremely glad to be here in Bratislava in the quarter-final of this wonderful tournament. But unfortunately today we have a problem to solve. Today there is no equal representation in movies of ethnic minorities. That causes a lot of problems because it creates an illusion that ethnic minorities are not a proper part of the society, that they are not fully represented. We also have racism and people thinking that they are not worthy of doing what they want with their lives. So, in order to solve that problem, we would force production companies to make movies with ethnic minorities in the leading roles. For example, when USA has 11% African Americans, 11% of the movies produced in the USA have to have African Americans as the leading roles. We want a society where everyone is equal, where we can discuss race issues proportionally, but unfortunately we have people who think that they are not fully part of the society, we have implicit racists, and so forth. No, thank you. In order to win this debate, Team Proposition must prove to you that it is the movie's purpose to depict what is actually going on in the society, and also to include ethnic minorities in the society. To support our case, we have brought three arguments. First of which is purpose of movies, second, empowering ethnic minorities, and our second speaker will speak about social impact. So, moving on to purpose of movies. Yes.
And do you then support similar policies in other areas such as jobs, education for ethnic minorities?
Why not? So, purpose of movies. To depict, the purpose of movies is to depict what is going on in the society. Right now they are mostly not doing it because, as we can see, most movies are with white leading roles, and secondly, ethnic minorities usually serve as side roles or extras. Now, that creates a false image that ethnic minorities are either don't exist in society at all, or are secondary to white people. Because when you are constantly seeing that the white man is saving the world, or is a cool superhero, or doing other very important things, no one can actually see that those roles could actually also be filled by people of the ethnic minority. That further perpetuates the problem that in the movie industry, because they keep hiring white people, no thank you, and they will never solve the problem that they don't hire enough minority leads, because they think that that is what sells. But that is why we intervene, to enrich the movie industry and give back its purpose to the society. Because this situation in the industry is so bad that even now, when an African American person is the president of the USA, president is depicted in the movies as being white. So thank you, because that just seems more believable to the industries. So through ethnic minorities being depicted in movies, we enrich the movie industry and give back its initial role. Now, our second argument, empowering ethnic minorities. Right now, ethnic minorities are gravely underrepresented, not only in politics or business, but also very importantly in the movie industry. No, thank you. This is what causes marginalization of the whole ethnic minority group, because firstly, people don't see them as often, which is an inherent harm, because you don't see what they are actually capable of, what their real powers are. People see and think it is more plausible to see an African American as a janitor or a construction worker rather than a lawyer or an important politician. So, and secondly, because when you yourself are a part of an ethnic minority, you see your people as doing these petty jobs. We have all heard the saying that in movies the black guy always dies first. That is not what we want to have in the society, because that loses the self-worth, no thank you, of the ethnic minority. This is what has led to, when asked from African American children, to characterize two dolls. Now, when one is white and the other one is black. Now, what they say when asked to characterize them, they say that the white doll is smart, beautiful, and has other positive characteristics. But when asked about the black doll, they say that it is sad, it is bad, and has other negative traits. This is what happens when ethnic minorities are always marginalized on every account. Yes, please.
So, under your characterization, if movie studios only want to perpetuate these stereotypes, so even if you give a black guy a lead role, don't you think they'll continue stereotyping him in that lead role?
Stereotyping people in the lead roles as being like a strong character. Leading roles are always like these strong characters that are usually important and have a lot of things to do in the society or in the bigger picture. So we don't see how it further deepens the stereotype. People rather see that the ethnic minorities are more capable of doing those things that they really are capable of. So, but when we implement our plan, we are empowering the ethnic minorities. Firstly, because actors who will now get immense social backing, like Oprah has done, and how she has diverted enormous resource, no thank you, and effort into getting African American people more education, more healthcare, and a larger impact in the society. Secondly, because minorities see that they are also on the map, they are also part of the society, they see themselves doing important things. They can see themselves, no thank you, they can see themselves achieving things in movies, not being a sidekick to the white person forever. And thirdly, the majority's perception changes. They see that African American people or other minorities are also worth something. They are also capable of being a great superhero or a spy or whatever, a president or anything. So, through this, through depicting people of minority in movies, we firstly we get empowerment of the minorities because they see that they are also capable of very many things, and secondly, we get a better society after all, where there is less racism and less harmful things in the society and less harm to the minorities, as people can see that the minorities are also an essential, a very important part of the society that is also capable of contributing to the society, not being a janitor or a petty worker forever. So for all these very excellent reasons, I beg you to propose.
Speaker spoke for 7 minutes and 30 seconds.
Okay, thank you very much. And I'd like to invite the first speaker of this side opposition to present our case further.
Morgan Freeman was an actor that got to the top. Denzel Washington was a black actor who got to the top. And why did they get there? Not because they were black, ladies and gentlemen. They got there not because they were minorities. They got there because they were talented, because they were hardworking. And these are the kind of people that we want on opposition in our movie studios. So what Proposition Solution today doesn't solve the problems of representation for ethnic minorities both in movies and society, because these companies are only going to want to put a facade that they solve the problems without allowing for actual, real, on-the-ground transformations, harming both the minorities and the majorities, movie studios, actors, and society. I'm going to prove this to you in my rebuttals, but let's move on to my stance. We have to acknowledge that the status quo currently isn't perfect, and we would prefer a more ethnic representation in it. But we have to acknowledge this, ladies and gentlemen. It has been improving. It has been improving because we can see the prominence of black actors rising in America, like the two I've named at the beginning of my speech. We've seen Muslim actors rising in India, like Shah Rukh Khan or Amir Khan. So we see that the scene is already changing, where there's organic change from studios and the audience becoming huge already. So their side only serves to reverse this change. We stand for the selections of actors based on the criteria existing in the status quo. This means that directors are going to now choose their actors based on their merits like talent and hard work. And today, we're going to argue to you that we are the side that promotes a more equal society. So let's move on to rebuttal. So they've told us that they're going to legislate movie companies to do this. But they haven't told us what's going to be the punishment if they don't do this. So as a result, movie studios don't have any sort of deterrent to follow their policy. What's going to happen then is they're not going to follow their policy and they're going to continue their means. And furthermore, they're going to cut corners. Why? Because their proposition hasn't defined what lead roles are going to be, movie studios are thus going to simply define a lead role as a role that maybe takes up 10 minutes in your play and then move on with the policy. As a result, they aren't able to enact any form of minority representation on their side. Furthermore, when we questioned them in a POI whether they would do it for jobs, they said yes. What this is going to lead to, ladies and gentlemen, is that certain jobs are going to go for certain groups of people. It's not going to be about how hard you work or how much you deserve the job. What this is going to mean is that society is going to become increasingly unfair. Your unemployment rates are going to rise because people aren't going to get the jobs that they need to get. Let's talk about their first substantive on movies, right, ladies and gentlemen? And here we're going to tackle the characterization of movie studios. They've told us that movie studios are inherently racist, that they want white people in all their lead roles. Ladies and gentlemen, movie studios want one thing more than anything else: money. How do they get it? By making a good film. As a result, movie studios are going to want to get the best actors in that position, not necessarily the majority race actors. If the best actor is a black actor or minority actor, then they're going to put those actors in it instead of what they told us. So their character is false. And we're going to hit the substantives, even on their side substantives as well. So they've told us that racism is going to get better on their side. This is a direct clash, my substantive, but briefly I'm going to explain it to you now. One, because what's going to happen when your minorities get into your roles at their side is that society is going to see that they're useless, that they needed an extra push just to get there. So society is going to believe that these minority actors didn't get there according to their own merits. As a result, discrimination is going to happen on their part because more and more people are going to be angry at these minority roles for not giving the part to people who could have done it better. Let's tackle the second substantive on minorities being empowered, right? So they've told us that their side actually reduces stereotypes. Ladies and gentlemen, in fact, their side empowers these stereotypes because, as I've already shown you, what's going to happen then is that the societal perception of these minority groups is going to be that they're weak, that they're useless, that now the government has to somehow push them up and get them there. What's going to happen on our side when these minority groups get to the top according to their own merits? It's a better characterization because now these groups, now people are going to look at that minority man at the top and they're going to see, I want to be like that, I want representation like that as well. So under our side, these stereotypes are the ones that are destroyed. Under their side, they remain perpetually within society. No thank you. And then they've talked to us about strong characters and how by putting minority roles in these strong characters, representation is going to benefit. Ladies and gentlemen, movie studios, according to their characterization, aren't going to do this. Because they're so inherently racist, as they themselves have characterized, what they're going to do is they're going to change the lead role to actually fit the minority person. For example, this means that they're going to be putting lead roles instead of Superman, like they've told us. Instead of that, they're going to be putting them in terms of gangsters, people in charge of these kind of things. So that's what their side is doing. On our side, we inspire more talent to rise to the scene when we change these stereotypes, as we've already proved to. Their side just devalues the hard work of these minorities. So let's move on to my constructives for today. I'm going to be talking to you, thank you sir, about how their side increases discrimination and about how our side promotes the principles of meritocracy, and also my second speaker is going to be talking to you about how hampers the self-improvement of these actors and also about how more actors are harmed under their policy. So let's move on to my first substantive. We start from the premise that lead roles in movie studios are extremely scarce. There are a lot of people competing for these roles and only a few are selected. As a result, when choosing lead roles under their policy, ethnic minorities are now going to be given the part, and a significant proportion of them is now going to be in these movies. Yes, ma'am?
Okay, but the question here is that the barrier for those black people or ethnic minorities is unfairly high compared to the people who are minorities.
Thank you, madam. As I've already told you, what movie producers want to produce is a good film. There is no such thing as your barrier that you're talking about because they want the best actors in the best positions. Furthermore, Furthermore, ladies and gentlemen, as I've already told you, the status quo has been changing. It's already changing. Their side just reversing the process. So back to my substantive. Now many of these people are going to realize that they're only on screen because of their race. So they're going to be seen as useless and taking up a spot otherwise taken up by a better actor of a different race. So discontentment is going to rise in society towards these ethnic minorities. Racism is going to rise as a result. And this also increases in the workplace as well. Why? Because when directors and other actors are likely to start discriminating these minorities when they start making their mistakes, thus attitudes towards minorities in the nations become even more negative under their policy. So they fail fundamentally in their purpose of promoting equality. No thank you, sir. And they crystallize racism. Well, on our side, everyone has an equal chance, so when actors get parts, regardless of their race, they're respected and we tackle the issue of racism. We already see this in principle in Sri Lanka, where the Sinhalese were often prioritized over the Tamils, leading to a gradual rise in discriminatory act practices and eventually violence. In principle, this is the same, because what proposition is doing is prioritizing one race or a minority race over another race. So we're going to expect the same kind of discontentment under their side. Let's talk about meritocracy. On their side, as we've already said, a fixed number of lead roles in a movie studio are going to go to ethnic minorities, regardless of whether or not they're the best for the part. The part could have been given to a more talented actor, but under their model, it's given to a less talented one just because of their race. Ladies and gentlemen, this is principally unjust. Roles should be given to actors who display more talent and worked hard for their role. This is unfair to all the actors on their policy who worked hard and who are extremely talented to get to where they were. Furthermore, what they do is devalue all of the hard work, all of the hours, blood, sweat, and tears that these actors spend trying to get a reward for it. So their side promotes an unmeritocratic, unfair society because hard work and talent can't get you anywhere on their side. On our side, because they get roles based on their ability, not their race, we provide a more fair system. So ladies and gentlemen, because of all these reasons, because we provide a more equal society, I'm especially proud to oppose.
Speaker spoke for 8 minutes and 11 seconds.
Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. And I'd like to invite the second speaker of this proposition.
Ladies and gentlemen, we do not believe that Ryan Gosling is a better actor than Will Smith because Will Smith is black. We don't believe that we are taking away the chance from white actors to be in the lead roles in movies and giving it to black actors who are less talented. We believe that the question here is that the barrier is way too high for some people because of the perception of the movie industry that it has become false. Okay. So in my speech, I'm going to make a few points of rebuttal and then move on to my constructive, in which I will speak of the social impact of our model. Okay, so first they claim that they read us a lot of great black actors who are extremely talented and have gotten to the top because they're good. We're not saying that anyone who is less talented than it deserves to be in the leading role should be in the leading role. The thing here is that their system would be fair if we perceived all actors just the same. Right now, the question here is that the movie industry, like you, still has the false perception that people are more likely to watch movies with white leads, while actually that has become not that true. Therefore, the barrier is set very unfairly high for a certain group of people.
On information.
Yeah, but they claim that the leading role is also something that is differently understood or can be understood differently. Therefore, those leads might still last for 10 minutes. We believe that we do have the universal understanding of what a leading role is.
Point
That
of
is something we
information,
do
Madam.
not need to define. Okay. They claim that those people, those racists in our society are now given the extra push. That extra push that they are saying that those people are not in those movies because they are good, but because there is a quota. Okay. The thing here is that we have had racial quotas before. We had in the Republic of South Africa, after the apartheid, no thank you, had the racial quotas work very well. Now we don't have the discrimination that they used to have. Therefore, we believe that our system will make things better. We'll have a better society because of it. We also don't see the movie industry's incentive to make all those black people who might be or other minorities taken into lead roles. We don't see the company's incentive to make them all villains because they're just, well, there is no reason for that. They might be villains in some movies, but there are also movies in which white people are villains, and we have no idea why the company should create all villains if they have no black people. And also, they claim that we should take the best actors. We shouldn't choose by their skin color or their ethnicity. Okay. The thing here is that, just as I said in a second, the thing is that we no longer have that people want to see white people on screen. People still, we can see that we have movies that are extremely popular that have black leads. For example, I Am Legend. We don't have the problem of people not watching movies in which we have black leads. Yes.
When you devote a proportionate number of lead roles for minorities, it means that some of these roles are going to go to people who don't deserve it. How is this fair when a talented actor can't get a real role?
We don't have a problem in the society that we do not have enough good black actors. The thing is that those actors are not given the roles that they do deserve. Those are given to those white actors because the movie industry believes that this sells better, although this has been proven untrue by now, because we do have films in which black people are in leading roles and are extremely popular. We don't have the problem that we do not have enough ethnic minorities that have good actors, and therefore we won't have the problem that someone who doesn't deserve the role gets the role. Okay, moving on to constructive, talking about social impact. Under the status quo, we are getting, we have a big problem of so-called implicit racists. For example, the average person who doesn't feel like a racist in itself because they don't really feel like discriminating those people all the time that are of ethnic minorities, but people like, I don't know, my grandmother who uses the phrase, I am not racist but, and then says something extremely racist. So those so-called implicit racists, we don't feel that those people who should have less rights, but still sort of see them as a secondary race or something like that. Okay, take example of a little Timmy growing up in the US today. Little Timmy grows up watching all kinds of movies with white leads. For example, he sees Captain America, Jack Sparrow, Iron Man, James Bond, all of his heroes are white. There are movies taking place in ancient Egypt. No, thank you. The Mummy, where the pharaoh and his wife and all the servants are white, although it makes no sense because it's in Egypt. And therefore, the little Timmy that watches all of those movies sees all of his heroes as black in a second, as white, and therefore sees those ethnic minorities as secondary, although in his society it is not true. Yes.
How does your side empower these minorities when they go on movies? People are only going to see that they needed the extra push to get there. They didn't really deserve it, in that case.
People will not see that they needed the extra push. People, that is not the question here. Also, as the example brought from the Republic of South Africa, as they had the racial quota in workplace, and there is no problem with people right now believing that that black people are any less than white people and only are in the place they are right now because they needed the push from the government. we believe that in long term there will be that problem. That might be a very short-term problem for a while, but that will go away for a greater good. That is that we don't have those implicit racists. That little Timmy growing up right now, seeing all his heroes being white, he then sees them more proportionally. He then sees movies that give a true depiction of the society, and also that gives back the real artistic value that the previous speaker of our team also talked about. The real artistic value to the movies that gives the message that actually depicts the society in a true way, and shows what it should be. So therefore, our thing here is that we want that little Timmy to grow up and see in the movies the true depiction of the society. We want him to get a real perception, not some perception that is really untrue and kind of shady. But we want him to see that the other race is not secondary. As well, we want to see that ethnic minorities themselves don't feel secondary. They can see that they have representatives of their race in movies, in leading roles, and to get there, we need to use that. We need to go with our model. We need those people to be in lead roles. We need the lead roles, the ethnic minorities in leading roles, to be proportional to the society that people are living in. And these are excellent reasons to propose. Thank you.